Good morning. Am I on? Did I remember to turn on my set? Good morning. Good morning. It's that on and off button. There we go. Good morning, dear ones. I just wanted to let you know that as we go through the morning, if I have to sit, I have just a bit of a health challenge going on, and so see me as okay, but sometimes I'll be standing, sometimes I'll be sitting. Today we're talking about be still and know, and it comes from the Psalms 46, verse 10. Be still and know that I am God. We're going to be talking about the silence today, and so our affirmation is, in the silence, I experience my oneness with God. Can we say that together? In the silence, I experience my oneness with God. And so I invite you just to gently close your eyes and to take that breath in. That we know that in the silence, we experience that oneness with God, to know our true nature. And today we affirm our true nature, our divine selves, as we affirm that divine nature and protection for all of our firefighters all over the state, for those affected by the fires, for those who are living on the streets in this heat. We see our connection to all people, no matter where they are, what circumstance they are in or that we are in. We are one in God in the silence. And so today we give thanks for the light that dwells within each one of us, connecting and shining out into our neighborhoods, into the world, to be that light and the life of spirit. And so for all that, we do give thanks, and so it is. Amen. So welcome to Unity in Mesa, where we enlighten, empower, and energize one another to uplift our world into a greater expression of God. I'm Reverend Kathy, and today Reverend Judy has a Sunday off, and so we wish her well. I'm joined today with Julie Truglowen, who's our platform person and our meditation leader. Our board member of the day is Michael Kassler. And our musician today is Dan Vega. You might remember him before the pandemic. Well, when our music director, Dennis Hubert, was signing our musicians up, we didn't know whether we would be on site or only online. So Dan comes to us online today, and we'll just appreciate the wonders of technology. And so he's going to open us up with a song called Free.
All my love can't save this world, just one. With all of the greed that holds us down, I can't understand how we just sit down and let time slip by. I must ask my brothers and my sisters why. You are the light, the love that shines so bright. You are the fire that burns through the darkest night. Don't let the world drag you down. Turn a smile from a frown. Lift your head up to the clouds and see what we all came here to make is free. Free. Oh, free. What's your purpose in this place? Why are you here? And what are you doing with the moments we hold so dear? If you need to walk away and start again, if you need to leave some some things behind and bring them to an end. 'Cause you are the light, the love that shines so bright. You are the fire that burns through the darkest night. Don't let the world drag you down. Turn a smile from a frown. Lift your head up to the clouds and see what we all came here to be is free. Free. Once you make up your mind, take it one step at a time. Leave your worries behind and see that you are free. And you are the light, the love that shines so bright. And you are the fire that burns through the darkest night. Don't let the world drag you down. Turn a smile from a frown. Lift your head up to the clouds and see what we all came here to be is free. 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 Oh, free.
Good morning. We have a few announcements. Check out our Things for You to Know button on our homepage at unityofmesa.org for the latest information, events, classes, and updates. Some highlights are yoga. Through June, you can join Reverend Judy for sacred yoga on Wednesday evenings. This is a great beginner class or for anyone wanting to improve their skills. Modifications will be offered for all levels. Attention baby boomers. If you are interested in participating in your generation service on July 18, contact Reverend Kathy. Participants decide the theme, choose the music, and offer meditation and lesson. It's a great time to come together with your peers and create something special. See or email Reverend Kathy. The Parliament of the World's Religions is the largest and most diverse convening of the spiritual faith systems worldwide. Their vision is a world of peace, justice, and sustainability through cultivating harmony among the world's religious and spiritual communities. This year's Parliament will be held virtually as a safe way to gather the world's global interfaith movement. This event comes highly recommended by Reverend Judy. Reverend Kathy highly recommends it because it gives us a wider view on how spirit shows up for people according to their culture and understanding of the world. It's a wonderful way to connect with those you will never meet, but with whom you share the planet. Register before this Tuesday, June 15, for the Super Saver discount. Thank you all for sharing your love and light with us this morning. Please know that your soul is welcome here. And now let's share our guiding statement to remind us why we come together. We are here to experience more of the fullness of who we truly are in order to transform the world. A welcome here. Okay, so now let's prepare ourselves for meditation and take in these words of affirmation adapted from the Daily Word. In the silence, I experience my oneness with God. In the silence, I am at peace. In the silence, I am aware of the wellspring of faith ever present within me. In quietness and in trust, I find strength. In the silence, I am aware of the richness of spirit that is always mine. In the silence, I feel and know that I am one with God. I am still, and I know. To enter the silence, I close my eyes and shut out any distraction in the outer. I quiet my mind. I quiet my body. I feel my oneness with God. Now let's come back to this time and place, to this room. And let's affirm in our minds, as I go forth from the silence to do the things that need to be done by me, I'm filled with gratitude and thanksgiving for the important part I play in God's magnificent universe. I participate in life joyously and enthusiastically.
In the stillness of this moment, there is peace. There is peace. In the stillness of this moment, there is peace. There is peace. And I rest and trust and breathe and know that in the stillness of this moment, there is peace. In the stillness of this moment, there is peace. There is peace. In the stillness of this moment, there is peace. There is peace. And I rest and trust and breathe and know that in the stillness of this moment, there is peace. In the stillness of this moment, there is love. There is love. In the stillness of this moment, there is love. There is love. And I rest and trust and breathe and know that in the stillness of this moment, there is love. In the stillness of this moment, I feel love. I feel love. In the stillness of this moment, I feel love. I feel love. And I rest and trust and breathe and know in the stillness of this moment, I feel love. In the stillness of this moment, I am peace. I am peace. In the stillness of this moment, I am peace. I am peace. And I rest and trust and breathe and know that in the stillness of this moment, I am peace. I am love. I am peace. I am love. There is peace. There is love. There is peace. I am love. I am peace.
let's see, am I in the light or in the dark?
Very metaphysical. Okay. So we are continuing our summer series of contemplating wisdom and truth. And we're using the poems written by Kathryn that come from the book 1 Degree South of God. And I'm thinking, it came to me the other day that maybe that's a nautical term. I don't know. How many sailors in here? Do you have 1 degrees when you're looking at your navigation maps? Anybody? You can fake it and just say yes. Anyway, whoops. Do I need to get that out of the way so it doesn't pop? Okay. So we're talking about be still and know, and I'm going to read the poem a little bit later on. But it reminded me of the children's book that I read for children's ministry last week. And if you don't know that every week on Wednesday, the MailChimp goes out while our electronic newsletter goes out. And in it is a link for families to go to a page online that I read a story. And then we talk about that with the kids online. Because they won't be coming back onto grounds until the fall. Anyhow, the story I read was The Boy Who Searched for Silence. And it was all about this boy who decided one day to search for silence because he'd heard that silence is golden. Have you heard that? Silence is golden, silence is peaceful, silence is blissful. And he also had heard that in the silence you can be more true to your own nature. And he wanted that. And he was struggling with the noise of everyday life, the noise from the cars and the buses and the advertisements and the programs and instruction and advice. And so he wanted to know if he could find a place where noise didn't enter into life. And he found it difficult in what he was doing. So he went on this search for this peaceful, blissful silence that he'd heard about. And so he walked to the bottom of the garden searching for silence, but the neighbor's dogs were barking. So he took that off his list. And then he went to the park, but the Frisbee players were laughing and having a good time. So then he took that place off. And he went into the forest searching for silence, but there were people walking their dogs and they were talking. So he went up a hill. And he got to the top of the hill and he goes, this is it. It was so silent until the airplane went over and left its trail and of sound. And he just sighed. He said, isn't there a place where there is no silence in the world? Why can't I find the place? And the more he thought about it, the angrier he got and the more upset. And he said, they lied to me. He said, there is no silence. There is no silence that's golden. There's no silence that's blissful or peaceful. I can't find it. And he just threw this absolute fit, stomping with his anger and shouting, not helping the noise pollution there, but shouting and throwing rocks down the hill. But with time, his anger softened. And he just came to the realization that he would have to struggle with the difficult noises all of his life. And he cried out loud, what am I to do? And all of a sudden the tears came and he just sobbed. And he sobbed. You know how you sob and you almost can't catch your breath because you're crying so hard? But over time, his breath softened and deepened, becoming deeper and deeper, that in and out. And then the boy felt like he was falling. But he was falling inwards. And he was too tired to be scared, so he fell. And he was too helpless to think any better, so he fell. And then he began enjoying that familiar feeling, and so he just fell, and he fell right into silence. Silence was like a dream to him. A whole world opened up. It was spacious and comforting and oh so peaceful. And a big smile spread across his face as he rested in the silence. And he began to feel deeply nourished inside. And he realized that silence was not a thing to find. It is a place inside of himself that he could go there and visit whenever and wherever he wanted to. From inside the silence, he could hear another airplane pass, but he just smiled. Inside the silence, he could hear the dog walkers talking, and he just simply smiled. Inside the silence, he could hear the Frisbee players all over the playing field, and he just simply smiled. When he decided to walk down the hill, silence walked with him. When he walked through the forest, silence was with him. When he crossed the park, silence was with him. Silence became his friend. That day, he fell head over heels with silence. He loved silence so deeply, and silence loved him back. So each day afterwards, he made sure to take 20 minutes to fall inwards into the silence. And all the things that he had heard turned out to be true. He discovered that silence is golden, silence is peaceful, and silence is very deliciously blissful. Most of all, he discovered that in silence he could be himself, and this made him very, very happy. I think that story is so relatable, isn't it? Have you ever had a day when the noise got to you? Just got to you. One extreme example I was thinking of, we had gone up to the Black Hills. My father and mother were from South Dakota. My dad was in the area of the Black Hills, and we'd gone up a little later in the summer to visit my grandma. And it was in August. And I don't know if you're familiar with the Black Hills, but in August, there's the Sturgis Motorcycle Rally with hundreds of thousands of motorbikes. And in the hills, as they go touring during the day, there is no place, there is no spot where motorcycles are not. And I can remember we were hiking up to Black Elk Peak, and we met a family of 4, parents and 2 elementary children, and they were all had their sleeping bags and backpacks. And so we asked them where they were going. They said, we're going to try to find a place inside the park where we don't hear the motorcycles. Have you ever had a day when you just couldn't hide from the noise that was around you? And I don't know about you men, because I don't know what you do when you really get frustrated, but can the women agree that on those days when you can't find something and you get so overloaded and so frustrated, you just break down and cry and say, oh, this can't be easier. In the pandemic, some of us found that there was less noise, and that it was sort of restful, wasn't it? Some of us needed more noise in our lives if you lived alone, but for the most part, there was that wonderful sense of quiet and rest. For some during the pandemic, it got noisier because we were on Zoom all the time, and we had the technology going, and if you were a family, you were doing childcare. And I don't know, for some of you who live with others, when you began to hear your partner start chewing and that began to irritate you. So we're always looking for that place of seeking for the silence. In Heart-Centered Metaphysics, a book that was written by Paul Hasselbeck, who gathered the teachings of the Unity founders, the Fillmores, and some of the main teachers, he wrote, "The silence is often thought to be the most important subject Unity teaches. It's simple, and yet at the same time, the most advanced of all Unity teachings. It is the medium in which and from which our true nature, Christ, expresses. It is the source of creativity. It is both the means and the goal of the path to all spiritual attainment." So when we're talking about silencing the noise, that noise pollution, we're going to look at, there's 2 kinds of noise and 2 kinds of silence, the outer and the inner. Our outer noise has gotten more through our technology, through the phones, computers, with the chats. Now we've got Instagram, Snapchat, Facebook. What are some of the other ones that every time a generation, it used to be the young people who did Facebook, and now it's our generations that are doing Facebook, and the younger ones are going to a different venues and different platforms. But all of that is going on, and it's been said that the human-made noise in the form of transportation pervades every corner of the planet. Cars, buses, trains, planes. The World Health Organization has claimed that noise pollution is the modern plague. Maybe that was before the pandemic, but they have looked at noise pollution, and they say there is an overwhelming evidence that exposure to environmental noise, which is human-made noise, has adverse effects on the health of the population, including sleep loss, heart disease, tinnitus, and stress. And just think about when you hear a loud crash, doesn't your heart jump? It's your cortisol or your stress hormone that spikes, which is an evolutionary adaptation to help you be aware when predators are getting near. But we have these false predators through the noises in our world and our noise pollution versus that outer human-made noise, because there's a difference between human noise and nature's noise, right? There is a sound ecologist, there we go, by the name of Hampton, who's gone around the world trying to find the quietest places on the planet. And one of them on the contiguous of the United States is the whole rainforest, which is deep inside Olympic National Park. Has anybody been to the Olympic National Park? I hear it's just gorgeous, that rainforest. And it says there's one place that's known as the 1 square inch of silence. And I read a blog about somebody who'd gone there and said there's a little circle of stones. And in that spot is that 1 square inch of silence, free from chattering people, power lines. Have you ever stood by a power line and listened to it hum? My goodness. And the whoosh of cars. Now, humanly, there can be too little noise. They said in Orfield Labs in Minneapolis, Minnesota, it is home to the quietest place on earth, where they have a no echo chamber with a sound level of -9 decibels, where most of us consider 30 decibels to be a comfortable level. This is a -9. And they said it's so quiet that they've not had anybody who could stay in it longer than 45 minutes because it is so disorienting and unsettling that it's created anxiety and hallucinations. So there's a difference between nature's noise, which is soothing and comforting for the most part, the birds that sing. I'm not thinking that back east, they're thinking the cicadas are that wonderful. If you've been reading about that, if anybody raised in cicada country, yes. But there's a difference between the nature noise and the human noise. And there's a difference between outer noise and inner noise. And when we think of inner noise, we deal a lot with that in Unity, because that inner noise are our thoughts, aren't they? Our thoughts that run rampant in our mind. Our mind is constantly jumping around, looking at our schedule, forecasting the future, thinking what comes next, and then taking retreads of the past, going back over what's going on, or what reminds us of what, or what we didn't do, or whatever. And our thoughts can either be observing thoughts or judging thoughts. Which ones do you think make the loudest noise? The judging, right? Always on our shoulder, always letting us know we made a mistake, always saying you should have remembered, da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da, or judging others, which also affects us because that's where it originates from. When we observe, we can observe and see it and let it go. We have a thought, we can let it go. But we tend to spend most of our time in judgment. Thoughts keep us out of the now. But according to meditation experts at Headspace, which is the Australian Youth Mental Health Foundation, silence is not an absence of noise, it is a quality of mind. Heart-centered metaphysics says that silence is that state of consciousness of non-awareness from which to retreat from sense consciousness, to retreat from all that input that's coming in. To move into that silence is a place of non-awareness where there's no experience of time or of space or of sensation. It is that inner stillness and quiet from which divine revelation comes from. We don't go into the silence for to seek form or to seek a demonstration, but just to be present in the silence. And when we then exit that silence, that's when revelation comes to us. That's when insight comes to us. But it's spending that time in the oneness with spirit, the oneness as spirit, and then leaving the stillness is when we have that realization of what's going on. So basically, science is turning away from the world of form, right, into the realm of spirit. All right, so when we move into there, we're not rearranging thoughts, and we're not seeking demonstration. We don't go into the silence to ask for something. We go into the silence just to be present to the oneness of spirit. And from that comes our good, all right? So when we move into the silence, because there's the practice of silence, and then there is the silence with a capital S. And the practice of silence is moving into it, be it what we call meditation, is moving into that time to where we are still and just present, aware. Again, it's a state in which there's no experience of time or space of sensation. You've only known that you've been there when you returned from it. Isn't that amazing? And just like the little boy, that once you've experienced it, it stays, that memory that stays and beckons us to come back. Deepak Chopra wrote that silence is the great teacher, and to learn its lessons, you must pay attention to it. There is no substitute for the creative inspiration, knowledge, and stability that comes from knowing how to contact your core of inner silence. So how do you get there? Well, stilling yourself, stilling your thoughts doesn't come from activity, trying to actively reach it, all right? A sense of urgency actually pushes it away. And how many of us get frustrated because we can't get there the first 5 times? It is that being willing just to be present, to set aside time, just to sit and to be still and to work. And at some time, it will be there, it will come. It's like coming upon a little bunny rabbit. And if you rush towards it or try to force it, the bunny goes away. The same way with us trying to get into silence. If we're trying to rush it or force it, the brain thoughts and stuff are so strong that we can't reach into that silence. And so if we come quietly to it and just sit there, the bunny comes to us, the silence comes to us. Arianna Huffington, the media entrepreneur, expressed this idea when she wrote, "Although I've known its benefits since my teens, finding time for meditation, which is the process of going into the silence, was always a challenge because I was under the impression that I had to do meditation. And I didn't have time for another thing to do. Fortunately, a friend pointed out one day that we don't do meditation. Meditation does us. That opened the door for me. The only thing to do in meditation is nothing. So to prepare for the silence is just sitting and doing nothing. Focusing, a single focus on affirming that I am the presence of divine mind, or that be still and know that I am God. Anything that starts focusing and then letting that focus go and just letting it happen. I don't know how to say his name. Aytekin Tank, the founder and CEO of Jotform, wrote that though a remote location may help, how many people travel to India or someplace or on a high mountain to find that silence? And though it may help, true silence begins from within and can't be found anywhere, even in the midst of our noisy lives. Sometimes finding silence can feel like another task on our to-do list, but to think about it another way, silence actually does the work for you. It's being willing to sit and allow it to happen. So the question we get, well, how long should I sit? Those of us who go by the rules, just tell me how to do it and I'll make it happen. If you're thinking about time, you're not going to move into the silence, are you? Because your mind is focused on the human concept of time and expression. So time is not as important as just doing it regularly. Daily, just taking the time of thinking, I am the presence of pure spirit, and just focusing in. When you find yourself with a time of 5 minutes to take a breath, it's just focusing on, I'm in the presence of divine spirit. I am the presence of divine mind. Whatever meditation or whatever affirmation works for you. For me, it's be still and know. Be still. Be still, dear body, dear heart, dear mind. Be still and know that I am the name of spirit, presence, by whatever name you know, that which is greater than you, that I am. All right? Just making that commitment. So the poem that comes from the book is Be Still and Know. And I think it's all about that commitment, because it says, get on a ship, cross the sea, hold steady. The wisest say, behold the heaven that you seek and yearn for it in your heart. Be still and know. What do we yearn for the most? Isn't it that oneness with spirit, from which all creativity and insight and inspiration comes from? Where our good is created and comes from that? So behold the heaven that you seek and yearn for it in your heart. Be still and know. This phrase is the ship you get on. This phrase, be still and know, is the ship you get on. Put your sail up. Let it take you on a journey. Trust the winds. Hold the rudder in the water. Choose and maintain alignment. Navigate through realities. Look through the clear lens of spiritual truth. Know yourself as freedom. Be still and know. Decide today what you want. Do you want that experience of oneness? Then make that commitment. Set sail. Hold that rudder still. Just be regular from day to day. Maintain that alignment, that focus on spirit, and navigate through the real realities of what a daily schedule looks like. And don't say that every morning at 8 o'clock I need to do this, and then the morning you don't do it, beat yourself up because you didn't make it, which I know that some of us do. But say, oh, I have how many more hours in the day to make that appointment? So navigate through the realities of what your day looks like. But look through the clear lens of spiritual truth. It is always there within you, waiting to be. The invitation to be invited into that silence. Know yourself as freedom. Be still and know. Karen Drucker, who wrote the last song that Dan sang, wrote a song that was performed here a couple Sundays ago by Jennifer Sheets, Let Go of the Shore. And I think this says it beautifully. Let go of the shore and let the water carry you. Let go of the shore and float into the mystery. Let go of the shore. So when you move into that time of stillness, let go of the human concerns. Let go of the human schedule. Just sit and be present and let that water, let that essence and presence carry you into that mystery of spirit. You have all you need. It's all inside of you already. Close your eyes and breathe and know that you are safe. There's no need to make a plan, for your heart will be your compass. Just lift your sails in faith and trust you will arrive. Trust you will arrive. No one has an agenda to keep you out of the silence. Only our thoughts. And so let go of the shore and let the water the fluidity of spirit carry you. Let go of the shore, float into the mystery. So let's take this moment just to close our eyes. Taking that breath in and out. Consider the thought of be still and know that I am. Be still and know that I am. And so it is. How many of you were able to love yourself for that short time without thinking about what the process was? The idea is just to sit. Let the water carry you. Let that presence of spirit carry you and float into the mystery with no thought. Literally, no thought. And then breathe back in. And then allow that feeling to be with you throughout the day. So, my friends, be still and know that I am God. It's your affirmation. In the silence, I experience my oneness with God. And happy sailing. Thank you. Michael, our board member of the day. Oops.
Hello. We are going to do the offering blessing, but the ushers won't be passing around the basket. Instead, we will have, there's red buckets at the entrances where you can put your offerings after the service. Also, you could also give in the bookstore after the service, give a donation with a debit or credit card, or use the Give Plus app on your phone or the donation button on our website, unityofmesa.org. So now let's take our offerings in our hands, our hearts and our minds, and repeat after me. Divine love flowing through me blesses and multiplies all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. Thank you for the givers and the gifts.
Get ready, my soul. I'm diving in. Get ready, my soul. I'm diving in to the deepest sky, to the sweetest sky. Get ready, my soul. Everything I've ever done, everything I've ever seen, everything I've lost or won, everything I've ever dreamed has brought me here to the present moment, here to a new beginning here, and I'm seeing life Get ready, my soul. I'm diving in. Get ready, my soul. I'm diving in to the deepest sky, to the sweetest kind of life. Get ready, my soul. 'Cause here I go, deeper, deeper, deeper than I've ever been before. Here I go, closer, closer, closer to my sacred source. Here I go, deeper, deeper, deeper than I've ever been before. Here I go, closer, closer, closer to my sacred source. Get ready, my soul. I'm diving in. Get ready, my soul. I'm diving in to the deepest kind of love, to the sweetest kind of life. Get ready, my soul. Get ready, my soul.
I love that song. So, what I forgot to say, for those of you who are why learners, why would we do the silence? It's because in the silence, you find the freedom to be who you truly, truly are. And so when you exit the silence, you can express your purpose for being here and how amazing you are. Really, how amazing you are. So I want to just take this moment to take your eyes and look around the room to see how amazing the people are you're sharing your space with. Because there'll be no hospitality in the garden. We usually say there'll be hospitality out in the garden if you want to take the time, but it's hot today. It's warm, up in the desert. So if you get a chance to stop and say hi to your friends, please do, or introduce yourself to somebody new. And remember always that before we give hugs, we invite, this may I give you a hug? Yes, you may, or I still need some space. Love you anyway, but can we just say hi? All right. So there are chaplains available, I believe. There's Ian in the back. Is there another chaplain? And John? And so if you would like to share your concerns, have a prayer with, share your joys, they are here to be, to walk beside you this morning. So, in the silence, I experience my oneness with God. Let's say that once more. In the silence, I experience my oneness with God, and so it is. Let's say our prayer for protection. The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us, and the presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well. And that's the truth. Have a great week, everyone.